Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good night everyone. My name is Renasti with study number 8, 12, 12, 11, 49 from class D. So in this video, I will present about the problems faced by the teachers in teaching learning process. Alright, let's go into the background first. English is the one of the human language in the world that has important role in communication. It has become international language and almost practiced in all part of life, especially in this global era that has full of competition, and English becomes one of the terminals and assessment of the competition. So that it is important for us to learn the language. Speaking skill is one of the language skills that are very essential to support further oral communication, especially in English, but it is the most difficult skills to develop. The environment in Indonesia provides less support or exposure for the learners because English is not spoken in the community. Teaching English is a process to convey knowledge in a new language. It needs hard work and sometimes will make students frustrated and get bored, so that they lose their attention to a lesson which is considered as a foreign. Next to the problem statement, according to the research I got about the problem faced by teachers in the teaching and learning process, namely lack of student concentration in the learning process, where students are usually often sleepy, lying in class, or talking with friends even though they are still in the learning process, especially if at certain lesson hours students start to feel hungry or sleepy, and because this can make it difficult for the teacher to get students active in learning activities, and also make the atmosphere in the class seem passive or stiff because there is no interaction between student and the teacher. So we move to the problem-solving method. According to the research I got, that the solution of the problem is to use the joyful learning method. So joyful learning is a learning process in which there is a pattern of strong relationship between teachers and students without feeling forced or pressured. So it is necessary to create democratic atmosphere, and there is no burden on either teacher or student in learning. In joyful learning, students are required to be more active and the teacher is only a facilitator. So in this application, joyful learning is carried out in 4 stages, namely experience, interaction, communication, and reflection. And joyful learning is also not just learning that requires children to lack out loud, but a learning in which there is strong cohesion between teacher and student in an atmosphere where there is absolutely no pressure. There is only the fabric of communication that supports each other. Next, move to the review of related literature. Dave Mayer states that joyful learning is a learning system that seeks to generate interest, full involvement, and the creation of meaning, understanding, and happy values in students. Fun learning or joyful learning is not merely learning that requires children to lack of load, but a learning in which there is strong cohesion between the teacher and students in an atmosphere where there is absolutely no pressure. There is only a mutual supportive communication network. And joyful learning, according to Fadila, is a learning designed with the aim of creating an atmosphere that freeing students to dare to try, act, ask, and express opinions so that students' attention can be fully focused on learning. Fadila also believes that joyful learning is a learning process without feeling forced or pressured, or not under pressure between teacher and student who have a strong cohesion. Now we move to the procedure of joyful learning. The following steps can be taken using the joyful learning method, namely as follows. First, the teacher greets and motivates students. Number 2, instilling positive feelings in students and the meaningfulness of the subject matter with life. This can be done by telling a short story and exemplify it contextually. Number 3, show interactive videos relate to the material and request student re-explain and the purpose of the show from the student's point of view. Number 4, invite students to play while learning. For example, like asking students create their own question and then exchange them with other students, and then students correcting question made and done by the fellow students. Number 5, students are grouped into 3 groups and play the Feeding My Secret Word game. And number 6, students are asked to summarize the material studies in the form of journal lettering with their own creativity. Next, we move to the advantages and disadvantages of joyful learning approach. According to Darmansha, the advantages of joyful learning include, namely, first, the learning atmosphere is relaxed and fun. Number 2, many strategies can be applied. Number 3, stimulates creativity and activity. And the last, more variety in conveying learning material. And next, disadvantages of joyful learning approach. According to Darmansha, disadvantages of joyful learning are the first, if the teacher is not successful in controlling the class will become very crowded and difficult to control. Number 2, the teacher must have high creativity so that students do not get bored. And the third, teachers must master many learning methods because in the joyful learning, they must apply many learning methods. Next, move to the conclusion and suggestion. First, conclusion. So, based on the research about the problem faced by the teachers in teaching learning process, the researcher can conclude that joyful learning is an approach to learning that is meaningful, contextual, constructivism, active learning, and adjusts the physiological development of learners with the delivery of content using cartoon games and doing fun. So expect learning process carried out with a relaxing and carefree. And the suggestion. The first, this research is hope can improve the quality of teacher, especially for the English teacher in teaching process in the classroom. Teaching strategy should be applied in the classroom activity because the teaching strategy is the teacher way to determine the teaching and learning activity in order to reach a learning goal. And number 2, the teacher also should be more creative to implement the strategy to make students more active, interest with the material, and make students did not feel bored during teaching and learning process in the classroom activity. And the third, the student should be aware to keep practice and participate in the learning activity. They also must pay more attention and listen to teacher explanation because it will give an effect on their achievement. Students also should be more active in the learning process in improving their ability in the form of education, especially in English. I think that's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.